Hi everyone, my name is Gaia and I wanted to do a video response to address the Dr. Phil slut-shaming episode. Though I think it's really wonderful that there's a discussion about the negative possibilities of slut-shaming on national television, especially in something like Dr. Phil where Dr. Phil was, sort of on our side, I kind of felt like this episode was missing the point. I felt it was just kicking the shame off of the package of a slut and onto the actual acts of sexuality, instead of saying something meaningful about how we treat sexuality. There's this article I read about 2 years ago that totally changed the way I view sexual politics. It's by Gayle Rubin and it's called Thinking Sex: Notes to a Radical Theory of the Politics of Sexuality. In this article, she talks about what people consider as good sex and what people consider as bad sex. You know, good sex being between two people and only two people, it's heterosexual, it's monogamous, it's without sex toys, and so on and so forth. Bad sex is, homosexual with a group of people or by yourself with sex toys including S&M and so on and so forth. This obviously wasn't so new to me, society deciding what's good sex and what's bad sex without having the word consent even once in that discussion. But what really caught my attention is the scale of sexual hierarchy she draws later on in the article. She basically says that not everything we consider as bad sex we treat the same way or we shame the same way. Some things are tolerated. You see that unmarried heterosexual couples is closer to good sex. Further away is promiscuous heterosexuals, followed by masturbation and long-term stable lesbian and gay couples. And now we're kind of crossing the line from major areas of consent to bad sex. Lesbians at the bar, promiscuous gay men at the park, and the worst of all are at the end, trans people, fetishes, S&M, and so on. What I felt is that in the Dr. Phil episode, they were applying this hierarchy of sexual shame that Gayle Rubin talks about, but trying to push sluts into the good sex area. Throughout the whole episode, I felt like they were saying that people who have promiscuous sex, even if it's consensual, are the real sluts, and that is really not okay. However, the people that we're addressing are only people who dress suggestively, and therefore should not be called sluts, because they're not sluts. Sluts are, those other kind of people, the ones who have promiscuous sex. I felt like they were trying to say, these people are just trying to express their beauty, their confidence, and so on through clothing, and that makes that okay. Instead of saying being sexual or expressing sexuality is okay as long as you're doing it consensually and as long as you want to do so. I feel we view sexuality as something so uncontrollable that we have to tame it, and then when people feel comfortable being sexual, it's like a sin for us. And I feel that is one of the core problems of slut-shaming. I feel that slut-shaming is just another way of saying being sexually free and showing us that you're okay with your sexuality is not okay, and we're going to bully you for that. And I felt that the Dr. Phil segment was still shaming people who are promiscuous, and by that, bullying people who are promiscuous. I felt like they were trying to draw the line between good girls who just dress suggestively and therefore don't deserve to end up at the bad sex area of the sexual hierarchy, and to bad girls who really do have lots of sex with lots of partners and therefore deserve to stay in the shameful part of the sexual hierarchy. Now, I know they're not going to deconstruct sexuality on Dr. Phil, but I did find it a little ridiculous that they had a whole episode in which they were doing the same bullying that they were up against, but to the other kind of people, to the real sluts. I personally really found that hurtful, and I thought that even without deconstructing sexuality on Dr. Phil, it could have taken a more positive approach that I hoped it would go to, and was disappointed to see that it didn't.